Well, can this nuclear deal be saved? Well, here with his insights is Sina Azodi, joining us live from Tampa, Florida. He's an advisor at risk consulting firm Gulf State Analytics. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So a lot of people are wondering, is this the beginning of the end for the 2015 nuclear deal, or can it be salvaged?
Well, first of all, for the past 2 years since President Trump withdrew from the deal, Iranians acted with patience, hoping that Europe could actually salvage a deal. But it's becoming apparent to Iranians that not only Europe cannot do anything to protect Iran's interests in the deal, but there's also the likelihood of President Trump's re-election in 2020. So Iranians are, from Tehran, the administration of President Rouhani is under pressure domestically. So he wants to show some sort of strength vis-a-vis the United States. So this is what Iranians are trying to calculate to put pressure on the United States as well.
And we did see that earlier this week, French President Emmanuel Macron and an Iranian delegation met to discuss this $15 billion bailout package to try and offset some of the damage from American sanctions. But how does that option mesh now as we see Iran's recent moves to lift these restrictions on its nuclear ambitions?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. So when French President Emmanuel Macron offered essentially this $15 billion bailout package to offset some of the damage from American sanctions, how does that now mesh with Iran's recent moves to lift its restrictions on its nuclear ambitions?
Well, there were hopes that this offer could actually change Iran's decision. Even the Deputy Foreign Minister Araghchi met with French officials. But it seems that after the Americans rejected this offer, basically not allowing the French to offer Iranian this $15 billion line of credit, Iranians have decided to basically move on with their decision to basically reduce their commitments. So that's actually that out of the questions, and Iranians have decided to, again, as I said, move on.
Now, the U.S. is continuing this maximum pressure campaign on Iran by now imposing new sanction designations on Iran's space program. How effective do you think this strategy is?
The way I see things is that the strategy is to basically impose pressure on Iran with no goals. And the problem here is that there are competing strategies in Washington. President Trump wants to meet with Iranians. He wants to negotiate with Iranians, and I think that the Iranians, in better conditions, would want to talk with President Trump. But the problem is the people who are around President Trump, including National Security Advisor John Bolton and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, with his 12 lists of demands, which, in my opinion, were designed to be rejected by Tehran. So there are competing interests in Washington. Iran has its own politics. So it's really hard to predict what happens. But I don't see Iranians are backing down now, because if Tehran say, okay, fine, let's negotiate, it will be hard for President Rouhani and Supreme Leader Khamenei, because if they say, okay, fine, let's negotiate, one, they will be negotiating under pressure, and they won't have much to offer to the Americans.
Right. Now,
and second,
we know that this isn't the first time that the people of Iran have had to face life under sanctions. How is this latest situation affecting everyday life in Iran, as well as the economy there?
Well, there's a lot of inflation in Iran. The markets are okay. There's food. But the problem is, as the inflation is going up and people are getting laid off from work, food is becoming less affordable to Iranians. And the other problem, I think, the most severe problem, I think, is the impact of sanctions on medicine. Yes, medicine is not sanctions under U.S. law, but the problem is no bank is willing to do a business with Iranians. So even the medicine that Iran is producing domestically, they're having a hard time getting the ingredients from outside. So that's a lot of problem with importing medicine. And again, as I said, medicine is not impacted by, it is impacted by sanctions, but not officially.
Certainly important to understand the repercussions there. Thank you so much. Sina Azodi, an advisor at risk consulting firm Gulf State Analytics.